Good morning. Steve Fried with the morning grain comments. Have a little bit firmer tone in the market overnight with beans up, a few cents. Oil and meals higher, corn's up a fraction, maybe a penny, and wheat's up anywhere from 3 to 4 cents. I think yesterday, probably the biggest news was some rumors floating around that the Biden administration may consider down the road of boycotting the Chinese Winter Olympics. They only had a 2-hour conversation earlier this week, and it seems like both sides kind of digging their heels in on key issues. That's something that would definitely be bearish to the grain markets, kind of going back to the Carter administration's embargo on the Russians. Took about 20 years for the U.S. ag markets to recover from that. I don't know if that's going to happen this time. But certainly it's something that we need to watch pretty closely. The other thing was Informa came out with 2022 acres. Total acres is almost 317 million versus 315 last year. Corn down to almost 91 million acres, down 2.5 from last year, while beans are almost 88 million acres, which is up maybe 700,000 from last year. Wheat acres at 49.4, up 2.5 million acres from last year. We've got the double crop acres at 4.5 versus 3.8. Prevent plant 2.2 versus 1.8. All wheat acres at 49.4, up 2.7 million acres. Winter wheat 24.4 versus 23.5. Spring 13 versus 11.4. So, a little bit higher acres. I don't know necessarily if that's enough to satisfy the demand, and we'll have to watch weather and see how the farmers react to prices of higher corn to plant. We also note that they plugged in a 179.5 corn yield and a 52 bean yield, which is above this year. So all in all, probably a little bit negative for the new crop 22 crops, but prices, but we'll see if that actually happens. We also know that Egypt came in for a tender. Algeria bought some expensive wheat. Egypt tender is for January, and it's all origin. So it'll be interesting to see how all that unfolds. Wheat market dropped pretty sharply yesterday. There is a washout of a rail line moving to Vancouver that could slow exports out of Vancouver ports. Raised some concern that maybe Canada might ship more wheat down into the United States, and that's offering some resistance to the wheat market. We also noticed that Matif rapeseed was lower for the second day in a row. Talk about Germany because of high prices, adding canola acres in 2022 by 9%. The Canada futures, though, ended higher, thinking that December 3rd Canada production number might come in lower. So I think we'll be watching pretty closely the weather. It's dry here, it's dry in Europe and Black Sea, it's drying out in parts of Argentina. Southern Brazil is going to get some rains, but I think in general the bulls are waiting for some La Nina type weather to push prices higher, while the bears see the fact that right now the exports are not doing as well as they had hoped out of the United States, and South American weather is favorable. As always, these are my thoughts, not those of ADM Investor Services. Have a safe and profitable trading day, and remember, always treat people like yourself would like to be treated.